Hey everybody, I'm here to bring together some pieces of golfing research. Oh, I'm just using a new computer and not really figuring it out fast enough for you. Sorry. So here we go. I'm bringing together some research done by Rich Hunt. He's a statistician, and he's got some awesome articles on Golf WRX that I just recently got into because I was just showing them and brought up some key points about why the best players are the best, as far as looking at statistics, why people hit it the best, how people can get better faster, how amateurs can get better versus how tour pros can get better, how to set up your bag clubs wise depending on your club head speed, all kinds of fun stuff. So I want to look at bring Rich Hunt's statistical analysis with Kelvin Mihira's analysis of slow motion golf swings and bring them together quick. So right here, he's got Boo Weekly, and the title is Breaking Down the Best Players on Tour by Category and Driving the Ball. And he throws together these ways of looking at the swing and looking at the stats to get an answer. And what he's found is that Boo Weekly has been the best up until 2013 in the previous 4 years. He looked at the data. And honorable mentions Keegan Bradley, Graham McDowell, Hunter Mahan, Graham Dillette, and Jordan Spieth that just so happened to swing the way that Kelvin Mejia has found in his swing research of slow motion training. There's Kelvin there, and here's his articles on everything on how people create speed, how people create straight shots with club face stability, and all kinds of fun stuff. Each of these articles has maybe 5 to 20 pages worth of just amazing research and very scientific, very wordy, but it has to be because it's just the way it is. Golf golf construction can be simple, but you have to understand complexity in order to teach simply. That's what Kelvin says, and that's why I'm learning from him because he's a genius. So uh, back to here. So why is Boo Weekly? Why has he been so good of a ball striker from the tee and with hybrids and woods and long irons? And let's discuss a couple reasons why that could be the case. For one, he's got his setup, his upper back. He's allowed it to be a little bit rounded, and he's not a stickler for a perfectly straight back. A perfectly straight back, when it relates to a setup, can be dysfunctional because it can cause a, kind of the opposite movements to happen in transition in the backswing and in the through swing. So what this does is, if he's in thoracic flexion at address, he can go into thoracic extension with the right side through the downswing and transition and then through impact. And what that's going to do is help retain a right bent right elbow and back rotation and speed. So if this is making sense to you, great. It's probably because you looked at Kelvin Mihir's research or found some of this stuff out on your own. If not, bear with me because it's super important. Um, his lower back isn't hyper rounded, hyperlordosis, and so it's relatively straight here. So we'll say straight and then a little bit of rounding, and he's just kind of looking at the ball. If you looked at his eye gaze, it's maybe out here. He's got uh, his center of balance is right over the balls of his feet. And let's see what happens here. Let's look at his swing. Very slow motion. Here's a key part of Kelvin talking about club face stability. One thing to look for is the club not opening too much on the backswing. Because if it opens too much on the backswing, you've got to close it rapidly on the way through. And if you close it rapidly, you leave things up to chance and timing more because it could close too much and you could hook it. It could not close enough and you could slice the banana out of it. So where most instructors want it to be up and down here, we've shown that with most of the best ball strikers ever, they've actually had it pointed down towards the ball a little bit. So maybe this is I guess 45, no, 90 degrees, 45. This is maybe around 20 or so. Let's just say it's not, but let's just say it's around there versus being up and down. In the backswing, looks like the club is a little shut compared to his wrist and forearm. And a lot of amazing players played with a slightly shut club face. Tiger 2000, um, Trevino, Greg Norman. A lot of people, if you look really closely, they had slightly shut club faces. And we'll call that slightly square relative to the path of the club. You know, relative to this, we'll call it closed, but relative to what really's got to happen in the swing, we'll just call it more square. And here's a key part: people idolize, or no, they don't idolize. They think that things, say the pelvis has to stop in order to transfer energy to the trunk and the shoulders, and then to the arms, and then to the hands, and to the club. But what's really going on with these players is they're rotating through the ball. They're not stopping and throwing and making a whip. You know, sure, maybe that happens, but the way that it's happening isn't a stop and a stall. It's the hips continue to rotate and the upper body continues to rotate through. So here he's got a bent right elbow, his hips are a little bit open. Um, you know, this is pointing a little bit, it's not straight up and down, it's a little bit to the right, and there's some distortion. Watch his pelvis and watch his back move through impact and not stop. Mainly watch his pelvis, because if that stops, everything stops pretty much. So there he's at impact, continues to rotate. So it's rotating and it continued. This guy's one of the best drivers of the ball on tour, long and straight, and his misses aren't awful. And that's one part of his game that's just unreal. So let's look at Boo face on, and let's look at how he can do some of these things face on. That's a 7-iron. This will probably work right here. Sorry about my.
All right, this guy can just.
This guy can just hit it perfectly all the time.
Isn't he? Good. Quick look using the.
Maybe we should shut off the volume because these guys just talk a lot of trash on the golf channel. They say some good stuff every now and then, but a lot of the time it's just they gotta fill it. I'm not gonna try not to judge that because I probably do the same thing most times.
Sonic of notes of Biz Hub swing.
Oops. How do we kill that? You. So he's not flaring the club open. He's got a strong grip. Did you see that at address? He's got a strong grip with both hands. And yeah, that's one thing to take note. Strong grip is probably better than a very weak grip, especially for most of us. Unless you're Ben Hogan, who had to go to a weak grip because he just had so many good moves to square the club face and close it. But he gets lag. His right shoulder, or sorry, his right elbow is under his left. It's a key thing to look for, face on view. And you can see the lag here. There's 2D distortion, so you know there's less lag than it looks like. Like this angle is only this angle from this way. If you're actually looking from a bird's eye view up here down at it, there's you know, less of a extreme angle. It's just because he flattens it out a bit. It's kind of the Ricky Fowler, Ben Hogan thing too. You know, they didn't have as much lag as showed. They had a lot, but not as much as showed. And the club face is squared early, and if you watch his hands, they stay ahead even with that. And see how here his club face isn't very much open? This is what is called the drive hold method. You square it early and drive it through. And he's got the back leaning and his hips are opening. And if you look, it's square there, and he just drives it through. And look how it almost seems to open on the way through. Right? So one way to think about this is you square it early and drive it through. Another way to think about it would be you close it and then you open it. That's the feeling that some people may need to get to build this into their swings. But that is such a horrible way to look at it because everyone uses their body a little differently, and especially their own swing. Like they have their own ways of getting the club on the ball somewhat square. So, you know, if you ever wanted to look at the way that you keep the club face square or not, you'd have to look at your swing in slow motion and look what your body's doing to see if you're rotating, and also look at what your shoulders, your forearms, and your hands are doing based on what your grip is, so that you can, if you want, change it and get more club face stability and hit better shots. That's just a side pitch because that's what I do. I help people have a more square club face through impact. And then some people think that the hands need to turn over during impact to square the club face. But look at Bo Weekley, the best drivers of the ball. Watch he's driven that square club face through, and watch now his hands will rotate over each other after, right there, right. The ball is long gone, and he did that up here. So here he's just drove a square club face through, and he's continuing to rotate with his body, and la di da di da. All right, and we could look at Jordan Spieth, we could look at Keegan Bradley, we could look at the guys that are mentioned here, Graham McDowell, Hunter Mahan, unbelievable rotation, and they drive a square club face through impact, and that's why we know these names. When driving the ball is one part of the game. The iron play and long iron play and short game around the greens from different places, and putting, obviously, that's so much a part of it. But we know these names because they are fantastic drivers of the golf ball, and also do other things fairly well. So anyway, that's Rich Hunt, unbelievable research. Nice picture, Tiger there. So that's Rich Hunt. Look at his stuff, and also look at Kelvin's, because all the swing analysis that I just did was based on really learning this stuff through Kelvin's research. It's called aroundhawaii.com, and look up Kelvin Miyahira. So thanks so much for listening. Yeah, I help people implement the changes that Kelvin talks about here, and got certified with his work. And yeah, I spent a month there with him, hit 2,500 balls, trying to better my swing, because I want to know that I can actually do all this stuff, and it makes my ball striking better. I'm not going to teach it. That's why Kelvin stuff's so cool, because it puts the pieces of the puzzle together. It's cause and effect, and it's so fun being taught how to use your body in a different way, and maybe more athletic, and get more stability with your release, hit better shots. So thanks so much for listening. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, ciao for now. Good luck with your search for a better golf game. Peace. How do I figure out how to close this? That's my girlfriend Kaylee Singh, and that's me. And how do I stop the recording? Snag it. Click the pause.